Okay. Aloha and good morning, gangy. Kahea here. So, let's talk about story time. Well, story time with Kahea. Um, the life and times of an earth angel. Wow, where to start? I think we'll go backwards from the most recent events that are still actually going on in the courts and in both spiritual and physical courts. So most recently being in the past 7 years, I was a target of inheritance theft, um, insurance fraud, multiple false accusations, romance scams, and false imprisonment, illegal surveillance. Yeah, it was pretty much a Truman circus show with a bunch of clowns, bunch of clowns. So many people involved, from corrupt judges, corrupt lawyers, family and fake friends, even down to my own children, deceiving me and betraying me big time, ultimate betrayal. Um, see, about 7 years ago, I found out my daughter was pregnant and was living in Maui. So I decided to move there to be a part of my grandchild's life in a very small, isolated, I can't even say town, it was more like a village. One shop in the whole village, which was basically a fruit stand, coffee stand. Um, it was very isolated, 2 to 3 hours to the nearest town, let's say. Um, and I was targeted by the entire community, actually, to gain my spiritual and physical inheritance. And I fell for it. I fell in love with the biggest, most deceitful liar I've ever encountered in my 56 years. I mean, when I broke it off, I was 55. It was in December. And they basically had me chasing my tail the entire time, as he was sleeping around with all of my family members, got my daughter pregnant, and had my grandson. Basically, the most arrogant POS I even imagined could exist. And this isn't easy. I'm still healing from this. Every time I think about the betrayal. Kipahulu is a community that belongs to the Hana district. Hana meaning, it could mean work in Hawaiian, but in this case, it means mystic, basically magic. And the spiritual community, wealthy community, landowners, a lot of single female landowners, in that community, and it's just full of Masons and Eastern Stars, targeting the native Hawaiians, um, basically to keep them under their thumbs and to steal the land and resources uh, from us. And that is exactly what they tried to do with me. And it was this person that became my so-called boyfriend, um, or partner, uh, courted me as my best friend for close to 2 years before we became intimate. And really, based on my past relationships, this really was, in my mind, in the illusion, the healthiest relationship that I had experienced. And I mean, I fell for it. I was so blind to the tactics, the mind control and manipulation and the spell work and all the rituals that was going on behind my back, um, until I started experience. I was working 3 jobs at this time, um, working for the wealthy landowners, and it wasn't until I started experiencing the effects of the death spells, the heart attack spells, that I decided I needed hermit time. And during hermit mode, my ancestors spoke to me. They showed me everything that was going on behind my back, and exposed a lot of stuff that I was seeing right in front of my eyes, stuff that was being said, the arrogance, the control, very underhandedly and very subtly. My ancestors exposed this to me and started showing me, and I had these memories of all these little things, these actions, these words, these conversations that had happened, and I was able to put the pieces together. I mean, I was observing this the whole time. I keep to myself and just observe, and for the most part, know, I'm sensitive to energy, so I was a loner, and this benefited them because all the while they were going around behind my back and lying and planting seeds, I wasn't talking to anyone, and really connecting on a deeper level where I would have conversations with people in my community. I basically kept my distance and stayed to myself and just kind of observed people's behavior. And in the memories of what had taken place throughout those 7 years, wow, it all came together. The the plots, the plans. Um, they did manage to steal some of my inheritance, um, but it had been blocked once I woke up. And they're still targeting me to this day. Um, but man, they're catching backfires big time. Anyways, I'm trying not to get so serious and this video be too heavy, because I'm not heavy. You know, my name is Kahea Love, which means the call from heaven, and my last name is Love. That is who I am. I am love unconditionally, and they couldn't take that away from me. Not with attempts to get me addicted. Um, this man, and actually his ex-wife, who is a prominent family in the world, actually. Uh, she's the granddaughter of the first pilot that sailed across the Atlantic. And that pilot is buried there in Kipahulu. So you can put the pieces together. Um, they're romance scammers. That's what they do, to get their money. And they like to target um, divine chosen ones, to steal all of their energy. We call it, in Hawaiian, it's mana. And for a while there, they were using my huge mana to manifest, whether it be through uh, how can I say this? Sacral energy exchange. Um, and he was the leader of a cult slash coven in that community. And he was going around sharing my sacred energy with all his groupies, my daughter included, who ended up having a child from him, my beautiful grandson. Um, and this was all done behind my back, which is interesting because I was with him every day. We lived on different properties, so it was easy for him he would come over and we would have, our quiet adult time, have a couple of drinks and conversation, um, and he would leave before it got dark, and then go and live his secret life, which was full of darkness, a lot of actual exchanges with both males and females. Um, what I did learn was that he is DL, homosexual, and basically just he uses women's sacral creative energy, for manifesting. And he likes to walk around in our energy. And wow, just the most DL person. And his wife, who they were never divorced, at least not in the spiritual. She was also trying to seduce me, while I lived on her property. And was watching how they would trigger people um, to get them off balance so they could harvest their energy. And when she asked me to leave, because she was going to have the unit I was living in remodeled, um, I was gladly ready to go. I mean, I saw her for exactly what she was, which was an energy vampire. Um, I did not know, though, that my partner um, was also a high level warlock, a high level mason. And it wasn't until my ancestors revealed to me who he was, what he was doing. When I had moved from the ex wife's property, I moved back to the property that my ex partner was living. Um, and it was a surprise to me because we worked together. To me, the illusion was we worked so well together. We flowed. Um, we we had fun. Um, but it was revealed to me that that he is a high level con artist. And when I moved back there, we didn't live in the same unit. I lived in my own space, which I really liked, living in my own space, sleeping in my own energy. I did notice, though, that, every time I spent the night at his place, um, and we had relations, he was always burning candles. There was like always a candle burning. Um, and putting all these pieces together, the dream catcher hanging above his bed, um, the like constant supply of alcohol, the temptations to partake in things that I believe in my soul I knew I was done with, but the temptation was there. And I almost got pulled back into that. um, but I was able to stop when when my spirit was telling me to stop. I stopped. And for a single guy, I mean, the thing is, this warlock, he's not a young buck. Okay, look at me, I'm 56 years old. He's supposedly the same age as me. um, he was running all over, um, having relations with everybody that he could. He's sick now, and and his ex-wife is sick, and my sister is sick, and the community, the coven that he was the leader of, many of their members, they're sick too. Karma is kicking their butts right now. And wow, my family, my siblings, um, you know, when I was growing up, one of my sisters she was very cruel, and hateful. and jealous the entire time. And she is 8 years older than me and still being a Jezebel out there. Um, yeah, it's actually kind of disturbing that they couldn't grow up um, and get out of that teenage young adult Jezebel mode. I mean, they're all actual addicts, and yeah, it's just perverted. You know, it was revealed to me the depth of what they were doing, not just to me. These are career criminals. Career criminals. Um, this ex wife of my partner, because of her name and her family, she had a lot of clout, a lot of connections, and to the judicial system, to just a lot of resources that came from being a high level person within these secret societies. And they're like constantly bringing court cases against me behind my back, of course, because I ended up moving to another state recently from Hawaii. Um, but there's still court cases that have to do with my inheritance, have to do with smear campaigns and defamation of character. Um, they are I'm gonna receive judication. Let's just say that. I know that, absolutely. Um, that's one of the things God showed me. He told me, you just sit back and watch me work, baby. And I just gave the situation to him because this is so much bigger than me that if I tried to fight it myself, the monster is too big, the machine is too big, and I know that justice will be served. I mean, I had to cut out everybody that I trusted and that I loved. I just asked the divine to look after my grandkids, and because they're still in Hawaii, and just protect them, no matter what their parents did, that the babies would be protected. And I know that the Most High God is there and protecting them. So just, okay, I had to calm down. My heart is beating fast, even thinking about this. I ended up leaving my dog, ended up leaving a place that I thought I was going to live at for the rest of my life. Kipahulu is beautiful, and the nature there is absolutely gorgeous, surrounded by jungle and water. And it was revealed to me the master plan of the takeover, and I found out that my ex-partner and his ex-wife were the leaders of this cult coven um, there in Kipahulu, Masons and Eastern Stars. Yeah, they're just a lot of wealthy landowners there, and maybe a handful of natives that are standing their ground and holding on to their land. Unfortunately, they know what's going on, but they don't have the power to fight the injustices and the corruption that's happening there. Um, they run a sex shop, they sell drugs, they traffic humans, children, and organs. One of the things I noticed when I first moved there was all the missing persons posters up everywhere. There was always a missing person poster hanging up. And in the 7 years I lived there, I witnessed people disappearing. And it is the perfect place because you have Haleakala National Park, where a lot of people go missing. So it's no big deal when people go missing there. And there's a lot of death magic that happens for life insurance, and I noticed that there was a lot of transient people that would come through and stay at this community, Lokahi, I'll name it. Lokahi in Kipahulu is a dark coven. And people would come from around the world to learn how to manipulate energy and use black magic. And some of them would come through to learn black magic, to send spell work and do rituals on their own families, to cash out on life insurance policies. And there's so much to say. I know I don't have enough time on this one, but that's just the beginning of the story, because it goes really, really deep into the practices of these elite societies that have to do with energy vampirism, with child sacrifices, and just trafficking, sex, energy. They were trafficking my energy. They had hidden cameras in my cabin, and they were broadcasting it on the dark web, and people would be siphoning my energy through those images. And these are things that I didn't even think or understand was happening. I didn't know people could do that, but I thank God that that my angels and my ancestors, my spirit team, which is badass. I got the most epic spirit team. who includes, my grandparents that are fighting for me in the 3D and in the 5D. Um, you know, when I broke up with my ex and moved away from his ex, who I considered my sister, and my best friend, uh, until I realized that she was siphoning my energy. And then when I was asked to leave because my place was being remodeled, I gladly left. And she asked me if I would come back to work, and no. Um, I had no desire to share my energy, to share my mana with her anymore, and she took it personal and was angry and hateful. Um, but when I did that, I started getting phone calls, like desperate phone calls from my daughter, asking me why, what happened, just they didn't want me to be over with my ex. My sister, my jealous sister, she basically had a meltdown when when I broke up with my ex and his ex. And I started seeing by the way she was talking, trying to project fear, trying to project doubt, and asking me about my routine. Where do I go? What do I do? At what time? And Spirit revealed to me that she was literally asking me these questions because she was going to put a hit on me, which she did pay for a physical hit on me. Um, but because I didn't go anywhere, I just stayed home, it was hard for them to attack me. And, my spirit team was blocking all of it. And they hired practitioners that even came and stayed on the land that I was working on, that I lived at, that stayed in different units as like vacation units. And while these practitioners were staying on that land, they were coming near my house. I caught them near my house, near my cabin, um, doing spell work. Um, but none of it hit, you know. My space was protected. My angels and my ancestors and the divine, they had me in a protective bubble. And no matter where I go, I know I'm safe. And, they would just basically uh, tell me when to move, how to move, when to pause, when to sidestep, um, all of these attacks. And as this was happening, and as I was watching their plans and their plots being foiled, um, and blocked, uh, I was laughing. There was a moment where my ex was out on my lawn, sending spell work on a full moon. And he had a team of people that was staying on that land, um, you know, doing rituals at the same time. Um, the things that I witnessed with my own eyes, uh, was, it just confirmed everything that was happening. Um, Even where people would try to disrupt my energy and my vibration and my connection to the divine with instruments, so having somebody um, go to the cabin next to mine and play an instrument, and while they were playing, sending bad intentions toward me. um, this is something that would happen um, until I realized what was happening. And while they were doing that, I would play my own music, love songs or whatever, to keep me in a vibration of love, and keep me in a good mood, so that none of that would affect me. It is pretty cool watching everything go down, the desperation, the scrambling, um, because my ex was seriously desperate. He was sending, I could hear him because he lived 2 cabins away from me. I could hear him um, sending love spells every night. I could hear it. And, uh, it just got so disgusting to me that the lengths these people would go to pay and bribe um, the people in the community to gang stalk me, to follow me, and tapping my phones. I mean, there was one guy there who was in charge of the monitoring of my device, and um, and all the cameras. There was heavy surveillance, security cameras everywhere, surveillance in my cabin, surveillance in the showers. There was just surveillance everywhere. I had just become immune to it. Um, I would shower in the dark for the most part, um, with just a little bit of light. So, I wasn't fully visible uh, with the surveillance. And some of the things that, you know, he would say, like, oh, you should put a light up here in your cabin. Um, or, you should, all these suggestions of where I should have light in my cabin. And he would show up at my cabin in his robe, thinking that he was going to, you know, get some or something that would be on video. He did, however, in his cabin, um, have recordings of our intimate moments, um, without my consent, without my knowledge, and share these private moments with his friends, on the dark web. Um, I mean, he is a powerful warlock that um, that posted. There's videos of him unaliving people with spell work, in rituals, on the dark web, and it's almost over. Right now, I'm I'm across the ocean, away from Hawaii. Um, my ancestors are still there, doing their thing. I mean, they're everywhere. Um, they're in the courts, they're in their homes, they are with me. Um, yeah, in the spiritual realm, there is a lot going on behind the scenes. And my spirit team was just encouraging me to share my story, um, which I am. And I'm going to post this publicly. And this is just the start. That was just a small part of the story. Um, anyways, love you, world. And God bless. Aloha. See ya.